Hey there, glad you're here. We've got a few miles ahead of us, and this feels like a good stretch to talk about something that quietly makes or breaks your whole day out here. Planning. Not the complicated kind, not spreadsheets and perfect timing, just simple everyday decisions that either make your day easier or make it a whole lot harder than it needs to be. Because out here, pushing harder doesn't usually fix a bad day. Most of the time, planning better does. If you've been out here any amount of time, you probably felt the difference. There are days when everything just flows, and there are days where it feels like you're fighting the clock from the moment you start. A lot of that comes down to how the day was set up before it ever got moving. So that's what I want to talk about today. The difference between planning your miles and trying to push your miles. This job isn't just one thing. It's technical and it's mental, all at the same time. On the technical side, you're constantly working. You're listening to the truck, engine sound, tire noise. Anything doesn't feel right. You're watching your space, figuring angles, how to move 80 plus feet of truck and trailer into places that were never really designed for it. Fixed obstacles are one thing. Moving ones, that's a whole different problem. And while you're doing all of that, you're also managing time. Where you need to be, how long it's going to take, what your clock looks like. The GPS helps. Hours of service, they help too. But at the end of the day, you're the one managing them. It's not always the big things that throw it off. Sometimes it's small decisions or small problems that turn into bigger ones. You stop for fuel, think you've got time to grab a coffee. Then a bus unloads and suddenly there's 50 people in line. Now what should have been 2 minutes just turned into 20. Or something simple doesn't go the way it should. The fuel card doesn't work. Now you're standing there trying to get it sorted out. The people that are supposed to help aren't really helping. Things are taking longer than they should. And now it's not just your problem anymore. It's the company's problem, the store's problem, and the drivers you're holding up behind you. All of it starts stacking up over something that should have been simple. And that's where the mental side starts kicking in. Because now you're thinking about your clock, your next stop, everything you had planned. And what happens next comes down to how you handle that moment. Planning isn't about having a perfect day. It's about giving yourself room when the day isn't perfect, which is most days. It's leaving yourself options, fueling before you need to, thinking about parking before it becomes a problem, running your clock in a way that leaves you some room instead of chasing it. And just as important, it's planning how you're going to handle it when things don't go right. Because they won't. When something slows you down, good planning doesn't fix it. It keeps it from getting worse. It gives you space, gives you time, and lets you find your patience. Your patience to deal with it without turning it into a bigger problem. When you don't plan that way, you end up trying to make up for it later. That's where pushing miles comes in. You start the day already a step behind. Maybe you waited too long to fuel. Maybe you didn't think ahead about parking. Maybe you ran your clock tighter than you should have. So now you're trying to make it work anyway. You're running harder than you need to, skipping breaks you probably should have taken, trying to squeeze a little more out of the day than it really has to give. And it might work for a little while. You might even end up feeling like you're catching back up. But it usually doesn't stay that way, because something always comes up. The traffic slows down. A stop takes longer than expected. Something small goes wrong. And now you don't have any room left to deal with it. That's when the pressure really starts building. Now you're watching the clock constantly. Every delay feels bigger than it actually is. And instead of just handling what's in front of you, you're trying to force the day back into a plan that's already gone wrong. That's where mistakes start creeping in. Not big ones right away, just small decisions that don't feel quite right. Taking a gap you normally wouldn't take, rushing something that doesn't need to be rushed. And before long, you're working harder than you should be, for a day that was already telling you to slow down. And this is something I have to remind myself of, because it's easy to forget when the day starts getting tight. The load might be a priority, but it's not the main one. The main priority is getting through the day safely. Every mile, every decision, without putting other people at risk. Because it's not just traffic out here. It's people. There are people in those cars. There are people in those trucks. People with somewhere to be just like you. Their lives matter. Their property matters. And when you let frustration start driving your decisions, that's when things can turn serious real quick. Not because you don't know what you're doing, but because your attention isn't where it needs to be. There's a reason companies have safety departments. It's not just because it's policy, it's because the consequences out here are real. And when you step back and remember that, it changes how you move. It slows things down in the right way. It brings you back to what actually matters. So when the day doesn't go the way you planned, and you can feel that pressure building, that's the moment to reset. Not later, not after it gets worse, right there. For me, it's simple. Just a quick check. All right, that didn't go how I wanted. Let's not make it worse. Then I settle back in. I back off a little. I open the space back up. I stop trying to chase what's already gone. That part of the day is over, but you can still protect the rest of your day. You can still make good decisions from that point forward. You can still run the miles you've got left the right way. So instead of pushing, I just start working with what I've got. I take the delays as they come. I adjust the plan if I need to. And most importantly, I let go of the frustration that's trying to follow me down the road. Because carrying that with you doesn't fix anything. It just makes the next decision harder than it needs to be. And once you let that go, things usually settle back into place. Not perfect, but manageable. And that's all you really need out here. At the end of the day, this job isn't about how many miles you can push. It's about how well you manage the ones you've got. Planning doesn't make the road predictable. It just gives you a better way to handle it when it's not. And pushing might feel like you're getting ahead for a little while, but most of the time, it costs you more than it gives you. Out here, things are going to change. Delays are going to happen. Something's going to take longer than it should. That part doesn't go away. What changes is how you deal with it, whether you plan for it or fight it, whether you stay steady or let it push you into decisions you wouldn't normally make. Because every mile you run, there's more at stake than just the load. And when you keep that in mind, the rest of it tends to fall into place. Not perfectly, but well enough. So you plan what you can, you handle what you can't, and you keep moving forward, one safe mile at a time.